Hello, today what we've got is we've got a Briggs and Stratton 3500 generator that needs it needs a fuel tank. So what we're going to do, just going to grab the fuel tank. What we're going to use is an old petrol tank, and just going to take the cap, because on my old fuel cap it's split at the top. I think it's just due to age. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this old one that's split, we're just going to get it sort of glued and epoxied back together, make sure that it's sort of fuel tight and airtight. And then as soon as we've done that, as you can see, I've got a bit of piping that's just gone over the top. We're going to bore a hole in the middle and feed the tube through, and then epoxy that down as well. So I'm just gonna start by super gluing the top of the cap down. Just the super glue is there just to hold it in place and make sure it doesn't shift around while I'm trying to work with it. Petrol eats through super glue quite easily, so we're not going to be using that. Seems to be okay with this epoxy though, so we'll get it glued down, then epoxy down, and then once that's all dried, we'll make the hole. Okay, now that super glue's all dried, we're going to mix up some epoxy. I've got this epoxy from Poundland. It's my favourite place for the epoxy, I must admit. Can get quite a lot out of it for just £1, so always worth heading down there and grabbing some if you've got one local. So just going to mix it all up and then start applying it. So I'm going to start applying it from the inside first. 2 reasons. One, this is the most difficult part to get to, and also I kind of want to make sure it's flooded enough in here so that it makes a decent seal and it bonds the two together, but also being careful of the threads, because don't really want to clog them up if I can help it. I should really have a scraper, but I can't remember for the life of me where it is. So I'm having to use a toothpick to apply it, which, yeah, it'll be a bit of a long job, but we'll get there. Okay, and once you've got a reasonably sort of level puddle of epoxy in there, just making sure that it's nowhere near the threads, but there's enough in there to sort of seal and make a nice sort of hold. Once that's all done, we're going to let that dry and then flip it over and do the top of it as well, just to make sure. Okay, so it's set on the bottom. I've added a bit off camera just to sort of get it started, and that's also dried. I've also cleared it away so it's a little bit neater, it's not just sort of splodged everywhere. I'm going to start by boring a little hole in the cap. I'm using a hand drill, and just going to start by boring a small hole and then just work my way up. I don't know where my drill's gone, so I'm going to use the next best thing, especially for going through plastic and making a nice neat sort of finish, which would be my standard big soldering iron. I think I got that from Wilko's years ago. Sorry, Wilkinson's for those that don't know. Wilko is the local term. Okay, I've got the soldering iron heated up. This has got one of my sort of dead tips, so I'm just going to use that and melt the plastic. I've got an extraction fan on. Wouldn't advise doing this indoors unless you have got said same and you are wearing the appropriate PPE. So yep, just going to carry on burning the hole, and I'm just going to melt it all the way through until it's roughly the same sort of size as the hole, because luckily for me it was perfect. So just going to melt through that, and once we have, we're just going to grab, I should really use a rasp, but I haven't got one of those, so I'm going to use a circular file. Okay, after a bit of filing down, it seems to fit. It's nice tight fit, so that's sort of how it's supposed to be. Few tiny gaps, but we'll epoxy that in, so the test tube fits. So we'll move on to the rest. Okay, so with this generator, I've gone with okay, so it's sort of got a few things. This is all sort of bits I had lying around, and it's not been bad for a cheap project, I must admit. So we've got the fuel cap, which cost me nothing because I had to get another one to replace that one that broke. We've modified that. That should be good enough. The fuel filter, I got that from can't remember where I got that now. And the primer, I got that. I nicked that from a diesel Fiesta, and the tubing, I think that's 8 mm in diameter. In a ID, not OD, and it all seems to fit perfectly. So we're just gonna rig up our system. I'm also checking to make sure that the return valve works on the primer, because the last thing I want to do is set it all up and then have to get another one because the return valve doesn't work or some reason. I have, as you can see on camera, I have got a return. I can't remember what they're called, but it will act as a return. It's a one-way pipe. So worst case scenario, that will get put in the system, but hopefully this works. And I'm just going to start by feeding the pipe through the fuel cap, and once that's through, I'll add the filter to it, and then we'll rig it all up. I've had to take the end off this filter because I want to allow as much going through it as possible, because I'm pretty sure the filter's smaller than the tube, the fuel line. So just going to open that up for maximum. And we'll just grab our fuel tank, get it all screwed in, make sure it fits okay. Make sure you can suck air. Well, at the moment, suck air through it. And then we'll put some fuel in it and we'll try and push some fuel through it. Okay, that seemed to test fine. So what we're going to do is we're just going to epoxy the tube and make that sort of airtight. I've managed to sort of hold it up relatively level. It's not overly level, and I'm just going to start applying epoxy to make that seal. And I've managed to find something better than a toothpick, better than my spatula. Yeah, it's one of these pry tools that usually come with the screens and whatnot, and batteries and whatnot. You know, them little repair kits. So I'm just going to use that because that seems like the perfect tool to use. Right, now that's all sorted. Got a generator here. As you can see, I've done a little wooden makeshift fuel tank holder, because our fuel tank otherwise isn't going to sit nicely. Just use a few bits of wood, bit of glue, and as you can see in the bottom left corner, I've also got the fuel tap. And we're just going to get it all plugged in, and once it's all plugged in, we'll give it a test and see how it performs. And after a bit of wrestling with the generator, as you can see, it's on running. Seems to be taking the fuel fine. I do need to get some clips for this fuel line though, because it's not making a tight connection. So just need like a Jubilee clip or something. So it all seemed to test fine. So I'd put that one down as a win. Working generator with fuel tank, and convenient as well, because you can just, I will get another cap for this. And you can just take it down to your local petrol station, fill it up, bring it back, and there you go. You don't even have to pour it into anywhere. So that's enough for today. Thank you very much. Please have a great day. Please like and subscribe for more.